Parents love when their children are having a great time and when their children allow them to have some quiet time for themselves to do what is important to them. And having a child watching a cartoon or a movie can be a perfect activity to achieve both, to have a child have a great time while you as a parent have some time to yourself. But what can we do to make sure that our children are not negatively impacted by those movies and cartoons as a result? Stay with me and you will find out. Hello and welcome to AlbInspire Family Relationship Coaching. My name is Albina Terpetska, and today we are going to talk about how movies and cartoons may negatively impact your child and what we can do to prevent that from happening. Just recently, I was working with a child of a client of mine. The boy is in the first grade. When I asked him a question, he took just a couple of seconds to think about the answer. But almost immediately he said, "I don't know, because my brain is not working properly." I was surprised to hear that answer, so I asked him, "Could you please explain more? What do you mean?" So he told me, and I'm going to quote him. "It's like SpongeBob, SpongeBob, his brain, he has this giant thing and it can't process it. That's how my brain is. It just can't process it." And what was interesting is that the question I was asking him was not a difficult question, and I knew that he could answer it. But because he got this idea from SpongeBob that there can be a giant thing in your brain that can't process information, he assumed that that is what is happening in his brain. And he didn't give it a chance. He didn't take enough time. He hardly took any time to think about the answer to the question that I asked him. So while cartoons and movies can give great ideas to our children and provide entertainment, they not always have good, positive effect on children. Because children can take those ideas either literally or interpret them in the way that does not benefit them, just like this child. This boy convinced himself that his brain is dysfunctional, that his brain cannot process information. And he began using it as a reason not to even think, not to even take time to think and possibly find the answer. So are you suggesting that I have to be sitting next to my child for the entire duration of a cartoon or a movie every time when they're watching a movie? You may be wondering. No, that's not what I'm suggesting. I understand that that may be too much because your child does want some freedom. We don't want them to feel like you're controlling them all the time. And also we want to value your time and understand that sometimes you don't feel like watching all those movies with your child and you need some time for yourself and to do your chores or maybe just to take a break while they're watching a movie and having a good time. But what you can do to reduce the amount of unhelpful beliefs and lessons that your child learns from the movies that they're watching is to talk to your child about those movies. Ask your child what they liked and what they didn't like about the movie. Because in their sharing, you will discover what they learned that was helpful to them and what they learned that may be potentially unhelpful to the child. And you can also see from their reaction, from the way they're talking about that movie, whether they're learning good lessons or not so good lessons. And that's when you notice that if they're learning something that is against your family values or you think that is not going to help your child, that's when you use those moments to teach them, reteach and explain to help them understand better what was good and not so good about the movie and to help them making inferences about those movies that are going to be helpful in their lives. For example, after sharing this tip with one of my clients, she shared with me that she used it after her son watched a movie and she asked him to tell him what was the movie about. When her son was sharing one of the scenes, when the two characters who were best friends began fighting, she noticed a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of excitement about that. She noticed that as their cruelty towards each other grew, her son was getting more and more excited, showing her with his body how they were fighting, how they were hurting each other. That became a red flag for her. She understood that her son is learning that it is okay to fight. It is okay for friends to physically hurt each other. And that was not the lesson that she wanted her son to learn. So then she talked to him about compassion and kindness. She talked to him about what friendship is and helped him realize that it's not about fighting, and that even if two friends are not getting along, there are better ways to solve the problem than fighting. Now imagine if she has not done that. Then her child would keep thinking that fighting is okay. And then one day he would come from school all beaten up by his friend. And the mother would be surprised. What happened? Why did that happen? My child is a nice child. I teach him good lessons. But he would have learned a bad lesson from a movie that he could have transferred into his life. That is why it is important to talk to your child about what they watch, even after they watch it. Of course, if you can, I would encourage you to watch those movies before showing them to your child. So you will know what to expect. You will know what parts you need to clarify with the child, to explain them better, to make sure that your child does not misinterpret them, or to have a discussion about those parts after the movie. But I get it, life is busy, you're busy. So if you do not have time to watch all the movies that you are going to show to your child, or the same is true about the books or cartoons or shows, of course you don't have time for all of that. At least talk to your child about them afterwards and find out what they have learned from those shows and movies, and also talk about how they are going to use what they have learned in their lives, as well as what they do not want to use what they learned or what they saw in the movie in their lives. The quality of your conversations will impact the quality of your child's relationships with other people. I hope you found this video helpful. Please share it with other parents and click that like button so I could post and share more videos with you and other parents. Also remember to subscribe to my channel and click that bell button to make sure that you get notified every single time when I post a video. Keep learning and growing as a parent, and I will see you in my next video.